I want to ask, what should people do for their parents?
Right.
So I am, in estate planning, I get kind of the same thing, but a little bit different.
Right.
Or I guess my tools, someone called and said, hey, I'm worried about dad. He's getting scammed on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
He got a text. He thought it was Apple and his account was in danger. So he had to send $2,000 of Google Play cards. Like,
I totally know the scam. Yeah.
But his dad had Parkinson's,
Okay.
stage 4 Parkinson's. So he said, he's just nervous about people being able to take advantage of him.
Right.
So on the financial end, that's one of their story. I think it's easy compared to what you do. Because
my mom was a victim. Very same thing. The IRS was calling and the sheriff was coming to her house immediately and demanded. And so I have it set up on her phone, on my phone, where she does Uber. She doesn't drive any longer. So she does
do Uber. Some people are nervous. That's awesome.
No, she does
Uber.
She does Uber. And I start getting these little short $3 trips. I'm like, where's she going for $3? Right.
Yeah.
Well, she ran over to Fry's and bought a bunch of iTunes gift cards, whatever they told her, and scratched off the numbers, read them to them. And, they took off with their $500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people, don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
Just don't answer the phone. If it's not someone don't answer it.
Well, another thing, I've told her and I've told others, I don't handle my finances anymore. My adult son does. Here's his number. Give me your number and I'll have him call you,
That's great.
And that way she just gets off the phone with these people and it doesn't subject to any more, I don't know, crime.
That's a good, easy strategy to tell people.
Yeah.
Just a way, give them a way out.
Yeah.
It's a different generation, where my generation, my kids, they never talk on the phone. My kids, they never answer the phone when I call, when anyone calls, they're
right.
But the older generation, they feel like out of respect, if something's answering, if it's ringing, you
people's
answer
at our
it.
door, we answer. I grew up in a small neighborhood outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, before we moved out here 40 whatever years ago. But the neighborhood was safe. Our neighbors were safe. You know what I mean? It's just a different world we live in now.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad that we have to tell people that, don't talk to strangers, don't answer your door. But on the financial end, so you tell people, have them say that their adult son or someone else manages it.
Right.
Legally, that's what we do as well. We can shift the assets and the control by a trust.
Yep.
And then appoint the kids as a trustee.
Right.
So that way they can watch over everything.
Right.
And then usually I like to keep at least one small checking account so they don't feel restricted. So they don't have to go ask for money.
But they have some access and have some control over their. Yeah.
But never enough at one time where
big damage could be done.
Yeah.
I think you asked me the question, what do I guide or help people with? And when they first encounter me, I'll just tell them this is exactly what I had my mom do when she moved here from out of state. We saw an elder law attorney. We redid all of her advance directives. We redid just all of that powers of attorney, because where she had them in Ohio and back in Nebraska, Arizona has some very unique laws, particularly the mental health power of attorney.
Yeah.
So I wanted my mom to have all that done.
That's great advice too. That's the best thing you can do. See an elder law attorney. So although I practice estate planning,
right,
I don't do elder law anymore.
And there's attorneys that have that particular certification, and that is a huge part of their business, where they just work with families.
Yeah. So there's a couple I work with that I recommend people need that specific planning, because it can make a big difference if you have some time on your side.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can make some calculated gifts into trust and wait. 5 years.
And they'll know, right. And they'll know how to guide you through that, so that if you are one day going to be needing public benefits, that you haven't done it too soon or prematurely, where it would cause you penalty and things like that. So they stay up on all that changing Medicaid law and all that.
That's good to hear. That's one of your first things.
Yeah.
Like go look, because we get a call a lot where people will say, hey, my mom's going to give the house to me. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
It's like,
maybe.
Depends. That's always the attorney answer.
Right.
Like,
yeah. What's your situation? Where are you headed with that idea? Right. And the second thing is, as much as I believe in the legal, need all that stuff done, your powers of attorney, and have your advance directives in place, is to make sure you have the right primary care physician as the captain of your ship. As we get older, we have a lot more stuff wrong with us, and we have more specialists involved. You should have a good primary care doctor, especially with seniors who have medicines coming from 3 and 4 and 5 different specialists.
So a good primary care physician will manage other specialists?
Well, they won't manage it, but they're going to make sure that there isn't two things working on the same problem, or there isn't a collision of medicine.
A bigger thing.
Correct. And in this case, my mom was getting some overdosing on meds. And there was some different, issues with polypharmacy and interactions that were happening. So Dr. Tully really did a phenomenal job. It still continues. And she has great trust in his care for her. And her health is better now than it was when she got here 6 years ago. So I'm really delighted that. So that's the two first things I start with.
So first two things. So financial/legal plan, right? Look what the assets are.
Right.
Make sure they're protected. Start looking ahead.
Right.
If you need benefits, how can you qualify?
Right.
And then physician. So make sure they're looking at the big picture.
Yep.
That's great advice. Not mixing medicines. They're aware of everything and all of those.